Hello everyone, my name is Mirna, and on behalf of the Mindalia TV team, welcome to Mindalia live streaming, where thousands of people around the world gather daily to see the lectures and interviews organized by Mindalia TV. Today with us, Angel Ribo, CEO, consultant, TV host, international public speaker, and president of the Wisdom for Kids Foundation, is going to be along with our very dear Sunny Chayes. Sunny is not only the host of this show, but she is also the host of ABC Solutionary Sundays. She is the featured writer and chief strategist for Whole Life Times, the longest running conscious life magazine in America. Sunny is also a producer, moderator, musician, and mythbuster, among many other disciplines and talents. But before starting with them and our very important guest, we want to remind you that Mindalia's mission is to share information that can help raise the level of consciousness around the world. And you can help us by subscribing to our channel, leaving us a positive comment on this video, or sharing it with someone that you know that is going to benefit of the content that we're going to be talking here today. Also, if we are live streaming, we have the active chat, which is the screen that you're going to be seeing on my side or under the video in case that you're following us from a smartphone. And through there, you can interact with us and enter your questions. We also want you to collaborate with Mindalia with your own valuable content. And for that, you can just go to our website. On the top, you are going to find a link that says Collaborate with Mindalia. That link takes you to a form that you can fill out for our technical team to be getting in contact with you. The great news is that you can collaborate with Mindalia in English through Mindalia TV English, but you can also do it in Spanish through Mindalia Televisión and Portuguese through Mindalia Televisão. Please visit our different channels and subscribe. Visit our Facebook pages and Instagram accounts, because with that, you are not only keeping yourself updated with the information that we share on a daily basis, but you also help us accomplish our mission. You help us reach as much people in the planet as possible. We are not going to be delaying this any further, and I have now the great pleasure of leaving the screen to our dear Angel Ribo, Sunny Chayes, and our great guest today, Mr. Halsey. Thank you, guys. Welcome to Mindalia live streaming. The screen is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this wonderful introduction, as usual, Mirna. And welcome back another Thursday, another powerful Thursday to change this entire world, because we are world changers here. How are you, Sunny? Good morning.
I am doing so great. And I have a candle lit today, as I usually do, but I have it actually lit because I want to talk about something that's going on right now in Ecuador. And so I'm lighting this candle for the people. And I want to bring to all of our attention something that's happening right now. You know, we know in the rainforest, the oil companies have been coming over and over and over for many years. And right now there is a big fight, actually. The Guarani nation in Ecuador is, they have, I think it's Chevron who wants to take 1 million acres. And they're not, you know, actually the way the Constitution is that no one is allowed to take the land unless it's okay with the indigenous people. But of course, this gets overrun all the time. So right now there is the Guarani resistance, and I really want to let us know about this and hold our candle up for them. WAORANI resistance. You can check it out on the web, and they are the actual woman who is kind of the head of this, which is so fantastic. Her name is Namanti Nanguimo, and she has brought together, and of course now other people are coming, attorneys and everything, to fight this case. So I light this candle for them, and I pray that they can make this happen and stave off the oil company. And I'm lighting this candle for our show, and this candle for our show. And now I will blow this one out in prayer for our Amazon, and specifically for Namanti, to keep her strength. So that is how I'm starting our show today.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for doing so. Absolutely. You know, yeah, I mean, I guess nature has a lot of things to offer that are still secrets, you know, are still hidden to us, are still confidential to most of the population. And we have, you know, we have consistently been having incredible people, guests on those Thursdays that we have been co-hosting for a few months already, or many months already, of you know, those amazing secrets that people hold and that people are willing to share to make this world a better place. And Just yesterday, by the way, and speaking of the planet and speaking of nature, I was blessed with interviewing a lady called Layla Franklin. I don't know if you do. You know Deirdre Haid?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Awesome. So her daughter Layla Franklin, just yesterday, she premiered a new cartoon. It's called The Birds and the Bees. The Birds and the Bees, and it's a beautiful. There's a beautiful 3-minute video out there on YouTube that shows, actually, it's a great story. It's a great story that talks about, I mean, how we are all one, how we are all one with the planet, with nature, and our role as human beings, and together with the rest of the nature, to preserve what we have been given. So it's a beautiful, again, it's called the Birds and the Bees. I really suggest that everybody goes online and finds it. It's everywhere. Again, Layla Franklin, or the bees. I think the website is birdsandbeespsa.com. I think, as far as I remember. But again, it's everywhere. But anyway,
thank you for that. And actually, that reminds me, one other thing I want to say about that. Of course, our show, we usually, or we have been for the last couple of months, picking a word for the month. And of course, this word this month has been Mother Earth. We've been celebrating with guests who are great friends and advocates for Mother Earth. And today is no exception with Halsey Snow, who will introduce in just a second. But I want to let us know about one other thing that I'm really excited about. There's a company called TerraCycle, TERRA, cycle.com, and they are now partnering with Subaru. But that part I'm still working out, because Subaru is, a bit of a challenge also. I think they're the most, as I understand it, the ones that use the most of our resources. However, this might be a good thing that they are partnering. But specifically, TerraCycle is recycling all of the things that we consider that we don't know what to do with, like potato chip bags, those Chips Ahoy bags, all those plastics that so much of our food comes in these days. The lids to the coffee cups that you get at Starbucks and wherever, the little stirrers, all those pesky, upsetting things, those little half and half cups that you get at the restaurants and Keurig, all that stuff. And TerraCycle is taking all that, and they're making it into playground equipment for schools and park benches and stuff. And as I say, they're starting to, just this month, partnering with Subaru. So it's very possible to be able to take your bag of pretty clean stuff, it's just pretty clean stuff, throw it in your car and take it to a Subaru that is participating. Not all of them are. But I'm so grateful about this because, of course, as we all know, recycling is the last, how do we say, stand of defense. It should be, reused or not even used in the first place, then reused, then recycle. But for those things, gosh, I mean, it just breaks my heart. And our dear friend, Christy Reeves, who's a friend of Mindalia TV, told me about this, and she's also who introduced me to our next guest. So I want to send out a little love to Christy Reeves for telling me about TerraCycle. But yay, so people are on it. People are on it. So that's the good news.
Well, those are amazing news. I mean, up till today, I think that the main hook that dealerships had for you to go there often was like get the free car wash, right? That was like the most common. So I think, I mean, if they're able to keep up with the logistics behind this initiative, oh my God, that can be industry changing. Honestly, I mean that's a huge. If TerraCycle is really able to deliver and to collect all those recyclable pieces of plastic, that's going to be that can be really big. We really wish them the best.
Well, and what I want to suggest to people, we always love to be so creative, is that yes, we can do that in our home, but if we have, our kids at school, then we can just perhaps do something at school because they have all those lunch, those little juice boxes and little straws and all this stuff. And so, why not have it maybe at your school or at your community, at your church or your synagogue? I mean, it's something that's, again, so clean. It's kind of easy because it's usually the outside of something. So So it's not at all nasty, and you can just, you know, do it. So I recommend that we do it, and then those of us out there who have the energy and the creativity to take it a step further, come on, people, let's take it a step further. Let's use our power of one and rock it.
You bet, you bet. Okay, let's bring. We have a guest which is glowing.
Yes,
glowing.
Yes, I do.
His light is glowing.
Yes, I do. Today is a water day. That is why I'm wearing blue and I have my water glass. And our guest today is he is a partner of someone, but we are so fortunate to have his half of the team, Halsey Snow. He is a golden ratio educator. We'll learn more about that in a second. And student of water, as we all should be. He has a PhD in environmental psychology and is certified in Mari-L energy, which we'll learn more about, healing, and a neuro-linguistic programming. And he's done this in his life with Patricia Marston Snow. He founded Golden Ratio products for the purpose of bringing innovative new technologies in harmony with nature into everyday life. He really walks the talk, as all of our guests, I hope, do. And let us bring on Halsey Snow.
Thank you.
Hi, Halsey. Welcome to Mindalia TV.
Good morning. Cheers to you. As
Absolutely.
I drink your water.
Absolutely, Halsey. Welcome to Mindalia TV. Cheers to you with such an amazing introduction. I have so many questions to ask you.
Okay.
And so what do you think that's the number one thing that the audience should know about you and what you do, Halsey?
It has to do with an aspect of water that most people don't know about, haven't heard about, and that you don't really find in the mass media. When you think about the water that you drink every day, what do you think most people think about in terms of their water? They want to be able to trust it, number one, right? They want to know that it's safe, that it's that it hopefully is free of contaminants. They want to know that it's okay for their body to drink it, and maybe they want to know something about the mineral content, which all water should have, and possibly the pH, because there's been some debate about alkaline water and so on. And for most people, that's about as far as they go in thinking about the quality of the water that they bring to themselves every day. And yet, there's something more that most people don't know about water that is actually the most important thing when it comes to your health. And it has to do with what we will call the way the water is structured. And let me just say what I mean by that, okay? Because everyone knows water is H2O. That's a molecule of, one oxygen and 2 hydrogen atoms. That doesn't change. That's not what we're talking about. But above the level of the molecule, when water is in nature, the water molecules actually cluster together in groups of 6. So the way that I get people to think about this and remember it is, think of a snowflake. Even if you live in the South, you can still think of a snowflake, right? Okay, everyone has a picture, an idea of what a snowflake is like. That's 6-sided structure. We call it hexagonal, right? 6-sided. That's the way that water is in nature. Even in the liquid state, the water molecules cluster together in groups of 6. You don't see it in the liquid state because all you see is the liquid water. But if you take a sample of that water from nature and you freeze it and you look at it, it looks like a snowflake. That's water's natural structure. And that's what we mean by structured water. Now, that's all well and good. And that's the water that your body is looking for purposes of hydration. Everyone knows what I mean by hydration. You have to drink water because you're a water being, right? Most people know that we are 65 to 75% water. Our physical bodies are water bodies. But actually, a figure most people haven't heard is if you look at the number of molecules in your body, you're actually closer to 99% water. So not a question about it. We're water beings. You have to replace your water every day. And your body is looking for water in its natural state. And natural state doesn't mean where it came from. You buy bottled water at the store and 95% of them or 100% of them on the bottle will say natural, won't it? Natural spring water. But the problem is the word natural has become like a free brand. Anybody can use it because where else are you going to get water? From nature, right? So, but it's not in its natural state when it's been sitting in the bottle before it gets to you because it's been processed. And this is where you could say the problem comes in. When we take water from nature for our uses, and I'm talking about humans all over the planet, the technology that we use to bring the water to us, to make it safe, to make it available, to make it the way that we want to have it so that we can drink it, unfortunately, causes the water to lose that hexagonal structure. So if you take a sample of that water and you freeze it and you look at it, you don't see the snowflake design. I've got some pictures here. Can I show them to you?
Of course.
Sure.
So this is just from a little brochure we have, okay? Here on the bottom, you see that looks like snowflakes, right? Those are all different pictures of frozen water samples that are in the state we call structured. That's what water is like in nature. See, they all look like different forms of snowflakes. When you take water that's been processed, and by processed, I mean it's been pumped from the ground, it's been transported in straight pipes, it's been put under pressure, it's been filtered, it's had additives, chemical additives, it's been stored stagnant, regardless of the material it's stored in. That's what I mean by processing. You take a sample of that processed water, you freeze it, you look at it, it looks like that. See that? Look at that. You know, you don't see the snowflake there, do you? No, there's no snowflake structure there. That's what we call unstructured water. And that's what pretty much everybody is drinking, unstructured water. It can be clean, it can be pure, it can be available where you want it, but because it's been processed, it's unstructured. And the problem is your body, your physical body, does not even recognize that as water. It can't use it for hydration. When you drink unstructured water, your body has to go through a process of restructuring it before it can use it. So that's why, regardless of how much water you drink, most people are walking around either dehydrated or underhydrated. And I looked at an article just yesterday that I accessed on the internet from a medical source, medicaldaily.com, an article from a couple years ago where the doctors are saying, you know, at least 75% of people are dehydrated and don't even know it. Now, how can you be drinking a lot of water and still be dehydrated? It's because of this aspect of water that most people haven't heard about, you know, whether or not the water is in its truly natural state, which means not just clean and pure and all that, but it means that the molecules are clustered together in groups of 6 so that they look like that.
Can I mention a little something about that as you're talking? I know we're going to get to solution of this because it's been a challenge for many years to figure out how to get
Hold on.
water.
And there's some feedback here. If we could lower the volume, turn the volume down a little bit, all of us.
On my end, I think I don't know. It's not right. Yeah. So,
but there's some feedback. So actually your voice is being heard.
Right.
Huh. I don't know. Could we? Sorry to interrupt you. Halsey, could you try to lower a little bit, turn down the volume a little bit, please?
On my microphone or my speaker?
On your speaker.
Yeah, sure. I just do that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, so the aspect of water, first of all, as we know, is so sacred, and I love the fact that we study sacred geometry on this show a lot, and I know many of our viewers do too. And first of all, I just find it so beautiful and amazing that that the water is structured in a hexagon or a 6, because of course we know there's so much in nature that is 6. I mean, even a lot of the symbols from Jesus and Mary Magdalene and everything with the rose that we find all over the world, and in France and everywhere has the, the symbol of 6. So I think it's so cool that that's happening. And of course we love the all of the sacred things that we do with water in rituals, with baptism and with so many things, and realizing that on the inside and the outside we're sort of made of all the same, So I think it's so important to realize that. And as a symbol of our lives too, what I think you're talking about is stagnant water as opposed to, sort of moving, flowing water. And just as our spirits, when we get stagnant in our thoughts and in our lives and in our way, it's not the flowing way we want. So, nature naturally keeps the water moving, and then when we receive that moving water, we have beautiful, moving fresh water with the 6 elements to it. And when it's stagnant, it doesn't do that. So I just wanted to add that.
Right. Yeah. That's very true. You think about water being structured in nature, and how does it keep itself structured in nature? Well, when you look at the way water is in nature, it's very, very different than the way water is, the way we treat it when we take it from nature for our uses. First of all, like you say, in nature, water is always moving.
Mm-hmm.
And what does everybody know about stagnant water in nature? It's amazing. Everybody seems to know this, right? It's not good. You stay away from it. You don't drink it. You don't go into it. You don't play with it. It's stagnant water in nature. Just leave it where it is. It's not something for you. Okay.
Right.
Another thing that's very interesting that's been discovered is that when water is moving in nature, it's always moving in a vortex. Now, you know what I mean by a vortex? You see it every time you flush your toilet, or you pull the plug on the drain and the water goes down the drain. If you watch the water, it's always going in a vortex. That's water's natural form of movement in nature. Whether the water is moving horizontally in a stream, or it appears to be in a big body of water like a lake, there are still vortexes going on in that water. That's how water moves. And the third thing about water is, when it's moving in nature, it never moves in a straight line. Go on to the internet, look at any pictures of natural waterways in nature. You will not see a straight line. If you see a straight line of water in nature, guaranteed that was made by man. Right? So, and yet we take water from nature. You think about your household plumbing, it's all straight pipes. And water, when it's forced through straight pipes, cannot move in a vortex. And this is one of the reasons why the water loses its naturally hexagonal structure that it has in nature. When we take it for our uses, we just treat it in a way that, the water, it's not used to it. It's very foreign to it. And so the water loses its structure.
Does it also receive minerals and things, or I don't know how it works, if the minerals go into the rocks and that, or the rocks put minerals into the water, or both? But I know, of course, when we think of streams, or, back in the beginning days of all of this, I remember Calistoga water or Crystal Geyser water. It was all water that came from some special way from the earth. It was like forced up, or, filled with minerals and things like that. So that was
water coming from the earth is very special. That's true. And, water moving around the earth is usually not moving under pressure. When you think about the best water you can get, what do you think about? You think about a spring, right? Everyone seems to know the best water you can get is from a spring. Now think about a spring. We're not talking about a geyser, are we? We're talking about a spring. The water is coming up out of the earth, and it's not under pressure. How does it do that? How does water come up out of the earth when it's not under pressure? That's something that science has not explained. There's a lot of mystery to water that science cannot explain. And here we are being water beings, knowing that we have to drink water every day to keep ourselves healthy. But this is an aspect of water that we need to start paying attention to, because it's the most important for our health.
Excuse me, let me ask you something. Why are you saying that there's no pressure? I mean, there has to be some physical, mechanism that allows the water to flow from that place where it's being, let's say, born.
Yeah, we don't know. Most springs are not under pressure. I'll give you another example, Angel. Think about trees, right? Because I was just saying before we started how tomorrow is National Arbor Day, right? Think about a really tall tree. Think about a tree. How does the tree get the water up its trunk into the leaves? Because it's doing that. Water is moving up the trunk of a tree, out in the limbs to every single leaf. How does it do that? Because the tree doesn't have a heart to pump it, does it? Like we have to pump our blood. The tree doesn't have a physical mechanism to pump the water. Now science wants to say, oh, capillary action. If you take a very thin tube and you put it on top of water, the water will rise up the tube. They call it capillary action. Guess what? Capillary action can account for 6 inches of rise of water in a tree. Only 6 inches. You take a 60-foot tree. How is the tree getting the water up there? Science doesn't know. What I would say is it appears that water has certain anti-gravitational properties. There is another mystery to water that, bears some investigation. Some people are looking into it. It's not a widely researched topic, but, from the reading that I've done, it makes you think water has some very curious properties that science does not explain. Water has memory, for example. There's another thing.
It has memory? Explain.
Yeah. Okay, well, whatever you put into water, if you put a chemical into water, that chemical has a certain signature. And the water takes on that signature. This is the basis for the whole field of homeopathy. You've probably heard of homeopathy. Well, how did homeopathy get discovered? It was discovered by a French scientist who was working with water and with putting substances in water and looking at how the body would react. And in chemistry, they have a process they call successive dilutions. You put something in water, you can measure based on the volume of the water and the volume of what you put into it, you can measure how many molecules of what you put in the water are in there, okay? This is, how they do it. They look at weight and they talk about number of molecules. And if you take that sample of water, let's say you take a cup of water and you put a small drop of something into it, and then you've got a certain dispersion of that in the water, right? Maybe you can smell it, maybe you can taste it. Now let's say you take that sample and you dilute it by 50%. So you put more water into it. Now you've got half a dilution, right, of what was originally in there. And then you dilute it again by 50%. Now you've got a quarter of the dilution in it. So they do this, and they do it over and over again until, according to scientific measurement, there is no more of the original substance that you put into the water in there. There's no more molecules of that in there. Guess what? That water will cause the same response as it did when you first put the substance into the water. That's what homeopathy is based on. Extremely small amounts. How can the water do that? The only way it can do it is that it has memory.
Gosh.
The water remembers.
I have a question about, that's phenomenal. I never understood that before. So you're saying that if you so in other words, if you have water, I'm actually holding, this is from your company, right? This is the global ratio. This is all made with different rings and sizes and everything. Right. So you're saying if I put water in here and it gets structured, right. And I add it to other water, like I put it in my cup, this structured information will communicate with this water. Can it change this water?
Yes, depending on how much unstructured water you put into it. That's true.
My goodness. Okay, well, I'm putting some in right now.
We're talking about putting other things into the water that have a certain effect. That's why this is something about water. You could say that why homeopathy is such a successful form of health care, because you don't need really strong, intense concentrations of drugs or substances to have an effect on your body, because your body is water. Your body is water, and you give a little, when you've taken something into your body remembers that.
Like muscle memory when you're a dancer.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You're also saying that, so one of the questions that I've had, and I know a lot of people talk about, is that we have the cell membrane in our bodies. We have 50 trillion cells, and all of those are surrounded by a little membrane, as our skin is. So I know one of the challenges has been with water to be able to go through the cell membrane. So are you saying that this works with that? In other words, for the water to actually get into the cell and do its work and take things out, all back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah. This actually gets to the heart of what we mean when we talk about hydration. Okay, so let me talk about that for just a minute. Okay, when we talk about hydration, what are we talking about? First of all, we're talking about that in the body, water is the carrier. Water is the carrier. Every cell requires nutrients in, toxins out, right? Every cell has to do that to stay healthy. Nutrients in, toxins out. And in the body, water is the carrier for nutrients and toxins. Water is the carrier. So, and like you said, Sonny, the cell wall or the cell membrane is the part of the cell that decides what to let in and what to let out. It's like the guard, right? The cell wall decides what to let in and what to let out. How does the cell wall recognize water? Seems like a fair question, right? It actually recognizes it by its structure. That hexagonal structure to water in its natural state is how the cell wall recognizes water. And when there's a sufficient amount of that structured water in your blood, because remember your blood is 90% water, then it's very easy for the cell to take in the nutrients that it needs and to expel the toxins it needs. And when we talk about the process of detoxification, what are we talking about? We're talking about doing something to give the body a greater opportunity to release the store of toxins that is being held on a cellular level, right? And why is it that cells hold toxins on a cellular level that they don't let go of? Well, the primary reason is there's not enough structured water in the body, or there's not enough water, period. The body is sensing the concentration of toxins that are already in the blood. And if it's too high, the cell is not going to let more toxins into it, because you could get toxemia, or, you could get toxic. So that's one of the reasons why we say drink a lot of water, so you can flush your body, let the cells get hydrated. But if it's not structured water, you can drink a lot of it and you still won't get sufficient hydration. I've had so many people come to me and tell me how, they don't like drinking water, or it doesn't matter how much water they drink. The doctor says they're still not hydrated and they can't understand why. And for a lot of people, this is the reason why, because they haven't heard about water being in its natural state and being structured.
So how could we do that? How could we then structure water at home? I guess exactly.
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, this has been known for some time. This is not actually new news, even though it is to a lot of people. And so there have been a lot of different ways that people have created to restructure water at home. There are some systems that have been created that you can put in to do your whole house. For example, there's a system called Kangen water, and it's a whole house system that you put in that does a lot of things to make your water healthy, including restructure it. There's another type of, it's like an appliance, actually, like a kitchen appliance that's been created by a company called Tribest, and it's called the Duet. It's like a Super Duty blender. It's got a special mineral basket in it, and you put your water in it, and you turn it on, you plug it in, you turn it on, and it vortexes the water for 20 minutes, and then you get restructured water. And then there's like the thing that Sonny held up, which is a form of glassware that has been created by a company in Europe called Nature's Design, and it's designed using something called the golden ratio, and it's just the shape of that glassware that also causes the water to be restructured in 3 minutes. This is the most amazing thing I have ever come across in my life, you know, and it blows people's minds when I tell them. They say, okay, so what is it that restructures the water? And I say, it's the shape of the glass. And they look at me like, huh? The shape, yeah, because most of us have not been raised with the idea that the shape of a container can energetically influence what is held within the container. Yet that is exactly the essence of feng shui. I don't know if you've had anyone on your show to talk about feng shui, but when you think about what feng shui is, it's about the design of the physical environment and how the design of the environment and the placement of objects in the environment affect the flow of energy in the environment, right? What they call qi. And that affects your experience in the environment. It's the same basic principle.
So okay, so yay, there's some solutions, thank goodness, because
Yes.
my heart was starting to beat, although I already have a bit of a solution. I will say that what's so strange, I think it's super strange, but wonderful, is that I took regular tap water when I lived in LA, and I poured it in here, and then I let it sit for, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes or so. And then when I drank it, I actually did not taste the icky, yucky, chemical kind of chlorine, weird, strange, scary taste that I have in LA. And,
right.
And I couldn't believe it. And I'm going to mention something else that's really strange. It goes through my body way faster.
Yeah.
So I noticed that when I drink it, it's like, oh, this is very interesting. It's like I'm using it fast and it's leaving me fast. It's amazing. I could not believe it.
Yeah, because most people have been drinking unstructured water their whole life, when you start drinking only structured water, in 2 to 3 days, your body will automatically go into a detox mode just from drinking the water, because on a cellular level, everything is getting easier. Everything is, you know, the cells are, okay, I can let go of these toxins I'm holding on to. Okay, I can take in the nutrients that I've been wanting. So, you know, of course, when you say a detox mode, everyone experiences that differently. There's, you know, people want to, you know, they will ask, well, how do I know if I'm going into a detox mode? I said, you have to figure that out. Some people get headaches. Some people feel really tired. Some people just pee a lot. You know, some people get soreness in their muscles. It's a very different thing for each person. Each person experiences it in their own way. But you start drinking only structured water, you start to notice a difference.
Absolutely, and as far as detoxing goes, I think it depends on how, you know, healthy the person is in the beginning. One other offering I'd like to use is the information from Dr. Emoto, you know, bless his soul, and the Emoto, IMOTO Foundation is continuing under his apprentice's watch, so people can still tune in, and they have great books for kids and all that. But what I want to mention here is words. So I do know that words work. We love words on this show. Angel and I are we do our best to be careful with words. And I think they work, you know, putting words underneath our containers. In the refrigerator, under our plate when we eat. We can even take, I have glass words that say love and stuff, and I just put them in my purse, and I take them to restaurants and put it under my plate, so it changes the food. So do you agree with that?
Absolutely. That's, you know, Dr. Emoto's work was really the foundation on which a lot of this is based. He was such a pioneer, and, you know, he showed through his studies that water responds to its environment, and it especially responds to human intention. And when I say intention, you know, he showed that water responds to human intention in the form of thoughts, feelings, words, prayers, you know, any form of expression that you put out. And in his studies, it didn't even have to be words. He used symbols, and the water responded to it. It didn't matter what the language was, whether it was English or Japanese or Hindu. It didn't matter the language. The water responds to the intention, and the intention is carried by the energy. And whether we use words to communicate the energy, or we use sounds, or we use symbols, it doesn't matter. the water picks it up anyways.
Let me ask you something, because obviously then everywhere where we put the water then affects the quality of the water, affects the structure of the water. So, you know, besides, so I'm going to ask you 2 or 3 different questions. Sure. Number one, then, you know, it's the shape, but it's also the material of the container. Yes. Then also, you know, why maybe nobody has thought about it and has consistently started to make bottles like that will keep the structured water, you know, out of those springs or factories or whatever. Right. You know, why? I mean, is it possible to, or would it be possible to consistently like bottle the water in containers that right out of those factories, and then through the stores they would keep the water structured? And also, everybody that is watching us, they're thinking, okay, so I can buy some devices, but then I have to take the water with me to work. I have to take it to the gym. I have to take it to church, whatever that is, right? So I guess, again, there has to be some special material and shape. I mean, all those things are kind of interrelated. Sorry to bombard you with so many questions.
No, that's good. That's very good, Angel. That's exactly. So, you know, it is true that the material does matter to the water. And how we know this is that the company that makes this glassware that Sonny's showing, I'm showing you a water bottle here, okay? They did tests early on when they first discovered that a golden ratio design would restructure the water, okay? Then they wanted to know, well, once the water is restructured in the glassware, will it stay structured if you take it out of that shape? Because it's the shape that does it. And this is the really interesting thing. It does stay structured. You can take it out of there, but it will stay structured for varying lengths of time depending on the material that you put it in. And let me give you a few examples, okay? If you've restructured your water, let's say here's a water bottle with the golden ratio shape on it, right? If you put your water, let's say I buy water from the store, it's unstructured, I pour it into here, in 3 minutes, I get structured water, and I can taste the difference, okay? Now I want to take it out of there. If I put it into glass, like for example, if Sunny puts her structured water into her blue glass, right? Is that glass?
Yep.
That's glass?
Yeah.
It'll stay structured up to a week. Up to a week, it'll stay structured if it's put into glass. Now, that's pretty amazing, isn't it? Considering that it's stagnant. And we said stagnation is one of those factors that unstructures water. But if water's been restructured, it'll stay structured up to a week if you put it into glass. Now, let's say you put it into metal, like a stainless steel water bottle, which are very popular, you know. It's clean, it's durable, it's steel, it's stainless steel, it's really good. Yes. Water that's been restructured, you put it into stainless steel, it'll stay structured maybe 1 or 2 days. So not as long as in glass, but 1 or 2 days. Now let's say that you take your structured water and you put it into plastic. Guess what?
We don't recommend. But go ahead.
The reason why is it'll only be a matter of hours until that water is unstructured again. Water does not like plastic. It just doesn't like it. And water has preferences. And you can see that it has preferences from these studies that show how long it stays structured in different materials. It also has to do with temperature. You know, why are refrigerators set to run at 39 degrees Fahrenheit? You know, that's where all refrigerators are set to run at. You can adjust it, of course, colder or warmer, but when it comes from the factory, they're set at 39 degrees Fahrenheit. That's because that's the temperature at which water stays structured the longest.
Wow, cool.
Now, 39 degrees is pretty cold, isn't it? 39 degrees is only a few degrees above freezing. That is pretty cold. Water likes cold more than it likes hot. When you boil water, it unstructures it. You can freeze water and it'll stay structured, but when you boil water, it unstructures it.
So are you saying, that was going to be my next question about boiling water for coffee or tea. So are you saying that it then just becomes unstructured? Even if you use structured water? Well,
this is interesting because this is something that hasn't been thoroughly studied, but really could be. What I have found is that I think it does make a difference when you start with structured water. I think it always makes a difference when you start with structured water. Yes, the boiling does unstructure it to a certain point, and there are also hot bottles that are made to, and teacups that are made out of porcelain that have the golden ratio design that will constantly restructure your hot drink, whether it's coffee or tea or hot chocolate or whatever. You can restructure hot drinks using a golden ratio design container. But generally, when you boil water, it unstructures it. So, yeah.
And can you structure other liquids, Halsey?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's water in almost everything. Even in what we consider to be dry foods. We do taste tests when we go to trade shows, with the glassware, and usually we have water we buy from the store in the plastic containers from whatever local store. We put some in a big carafe and then keep some in the container, and with little Dixie cups, we offer people samples of each, and 9 out of 10 people notice the difference. But sometimes I'll get like dry almonds, and I'll put them in one of the bowls. They have golden ratio design bowls. Have some that are in the bowl and some are not. Say, take one of each. See if you notice difference. There's water in everything. Even in what appears to be really dry things. When there's no water in anything, what do you have? You have a desert.
Yeah.
And there's life in the desert. And the only reason there's life in the desert is because there's still water in the desert. Because there's water in the air. So, yeah. It's interesting that the golden ratio proportions have a restructuring effect on water. That's what this glassware company, found out. It's that golden ratio proportions, because they're found everywhere in nature. It's the same proportions that are in the proportions of the human body, and that would be, subject for another whole show, I think, as far as, looking at the golden ratio and taking it out of the realm of math and out of the realm of art and architecture and music, which is where you would find it if you went to school and studied. That's where you would hear about the golden ratio. But in normal courses of study, you normally don't hear about the golden ratio.
Yes, like we were talking about at the beginning of the show, the Vitruvius Man that Leonardo da Vinci drew. That very famous drawing that most of us see. That was actually from a gentleman named Vitruvius in 80 AD, and he was very fascinated in the relationship between the universe and man and the universe, and so this golden ratio of Vitruvius Man was so. There we go. Yep, that's the one.
That's what you're talking about, right?
That's Leonardo da Vinci drew that one. Yes, and there were others that drew them. That's the famous one. And to understand that we are biomimicry, our bodies are a mimicry of all of the ratios in nature. And so I love that you were saying that the intention of our drinking of water, it like brings a tear to my eye, literally, water to me, because I think when we do everything with intention, we do everything with love, we do everything with sacred behavior, we sit down to eat a meal. I know in the Latin cultures, not so much in America, but, sitting and gathering and the way that food is made with love and preparation for a ritual, for a birthday or a celebration of some kind, that there's so much love and there's so much excitement and there's so much connection that goes into the cooking and the preparing, and then to join together and the eating, peacefully and calmly and with love and conversation and laughter. It makes such a difference for our intaking, and we also are able to receive it more because our nervous system is calmed down, and we can receive the food, we can receive the wine, we can receive the delicious food and everything that we're being given. Breaking bread with people is the ultimate sacred act that humans do, for sure.
Yeah.
And so that's why, as we were chatting, I was just writing down different thoughts that I had about that, because I think that's really what we're talking about. And so
exactly.
With that intention, then it shifts everything, and then we can get the products, we can do the different things. But I think it starts with our desire to love ourselves and our children and everyone around us, to bring the most high vibration energy into our body that we possibly can.
Yeah. You don't have to buy golden ratio glassware to restructure your water. You can take your regular glassware, like you said, Sunny, and write a word on a piece of paper like love, or, take a picture of a snowflake on a piece of paper and put it underneath your glass. It'll restructure the water. The water will respond to the intention of what's around it. It likes glass the best. Keep it in glass, store it in glass, use glass, and then think about the energetic environment around the water and put something there that the water will respond to restructure itself, and you'll be good.
Awesome. Wonderful, amazing conversation today with Halsey. I would like to please, I would like you to share with the audience, where can we find you online? How can people reach out to you to know more?
We have a website. It's called goldenratioproducts.com. You can go there and you can learn more about what I've been talking about today and see the variety of different products that we carry. And as I said, we're not the only company that, has products to restructure water. There are others out there. I just happen to like it because it's really simple, and it's something that everybody uses. I mean, who doesn't have glassware in their house?
Absolutely. And so wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for being here with us today. Amazing conversation. I think that you have opened the eyes to a lot of people about many things that are happening. The first thing I thought when you were explaining all this was about one of the, the concept of pasteurization with milk. Everybody's asked to drink milk because it's supposed to give calcium to your bones.
With a plastic container.
Exactly. And also, exactly. and you don't get actually any. It's been proven scientifically that you don't get absolutely any calcium out of pasteurized milk, according to some scientists. So, but anyway, so amazing story. Thank you very much for sharing all your wisdom with us today, Halsey. And Sunny, how can we find you online? How can we reach out to you and get to know more about your wisdom?
You don't see me floating around in your world. You can find me on Solutionary Sundays on ABC, and you can just Google Sunny Chayes and you'll find a lot of YouTube shows that I've done on UBN, and you can also find me in Whole Life Times. And again, I always like to end with something very, very environmental. So I hope today, just what I love so much about our life and our conversation here on Mindalia TV is that we bring something always that maybe even the mundane, like drinking a glass of water, to the highest sacred. And so again, I hope for all of you guys out there that it's not necessarily about buying products, although that's fun too, but to, take this in and just even go into your kitchen today and just play around. If you have a bunch of plasticky things, and if you have glass things, like even if you buy spaghetti sauce, or honey or coconut butter or any of those things, coconut oil, save those and then use those for your containers to store leftover food. Like, just get creative with it. They also look much prettier. So that's what I want to say, and much love to you all, and happy Earth Month. Happy Mother Earth Month.
Absolutely. Happy Mother Earth Month. And again, this is Angel Rebo with Mindalia TV. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here with us today. We hope that you enjoyed the conversation as much as we did, and we really look forward to having you on our next show here. Next Thursday, we'll be again here with Sunny, and again with a life-changing story. So thank you very much again, Halsey. Thank you very much for being with us. Thank you, Sunny, and everybody here. Thank you. See you soon. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.